All right, folks, it's Kenny with Just the Right Angle here, doing a quick update on a few other stories you have. Apparently, there was some ship that was attacked on the Strait of Iran. There's supposedly some bombs being dropped, or not sure, mines. We're not sure if that's the case. Here's a guy dancing in here. So overall, Iran is still kind of a issue. A lot of the government officials who have been enforcing their Sharia law, Mohammed, this guy here, he had executed a famous Iranian wrestler. So this judge was eliminated by a car bomb. And so one other thing that happened is Iran hit Jerusalem's old city with a missile fragment that slammed down 400 yards from the western wall and the Al-Aqsa Mosque. That's where a lot of politicians go. For those who don't know, the Western Wall is supposedly the wall that was part of Solomon's temple. A lot of the supporters of Israel go there to pray, and they'll put pieces of paper in there. That's a very important place. And then the Muslims desecrated it with the Al-Aqsa Mosque that they built on top of where the temple used to be. It's also supposedly the place where Abraham was supposed to sacrifice Isaac. It was a rock that was put on there that was there. And so Iran just nearly destroyed a place that was, made sacred by some and then desecrated by supposedly all of Islam. So again, nothing is sacred to the people of Iran, to the dictators of Iran. What we're hoping for is that eventually this is some Iranian propaganda. They're somehow thinking that there's a war between the two. There really isn't. It's just a bunch of Muslim cowards running a country and hiding behind their civilians. I don't know anything about this story here. Iranian monarchist Moon Ramini. I don't know who this is. So it's still not, as far as we know, don't have actual boots on the ground. Or maybe we do and I just don't know about it. So then these are two more guys. Larijani and Soleimani. These are other government officials who were responsible for deaths in Iran. They're being killed off. So again, overall, and you'll see all kinds of propaganda supporting the regime of Iran. Of course, we're part of the reason we're in this mess is that we haven't drilled our own oil, and we've given billions to the green energy agenda. We have our own utility crisis, and that's kind of what I wanted to segue into and talk about. We have a lot of money in politics, and a lot of it is being spent, and oddly enough, our Secretary of State race. So this is in the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. For those who don't have a subscription, the group Arkansas Conservatives was set up by the leftist Chris Caldwell. It shows $307,000 spent on media ads. And for a while, it was created in February of 2026. I actually have the image. Yeah, Princess Kulia. Yeah, that's pretty scary for the Iranians to do that. But anyway, regarding the Secretary of State's race, This fraudulent group called Arkansas Conservatives was set up on February 2026. Its goal was to slander one candidate and supposedly support the other two. The candidates it supported was Kim Hammer. The candidates that it opposed was Kim Hammer and Kathy Harrison. Supposedly, during its first release, its first text, it accused another candidate, Brian Norris, of threatening to destroy the Constitution, and that he was a leftist. Well, actually, both candidates that Arkansas conservatives claim to support disavowed the organization. Kathy Harden Harrison supposedly has said that she wanted to file a lawsuit because the ads were so bad and so terrible and so slanderous. And Jan Morgan has an example of this. Here's the post by Republican Patriots of Arkansas talking about this organization when it was first filed. And this group, by the way, has kept up with a lot of what's going on regarding this issue. But if you go down their posts, and Jan Morgan has also posted this, to vote in this election, you have to either be a registered Republican or have voted or registered as independent. You cannot have voted in the Democrat race. You cannot either be registered as a Democrat, or if you voted Democrat in the Republican primary March 3rd, you can't vote in this race. A little clarification of that. That's known as crossover voting. I think Jan Morgan has a better image of this as well. She had actually not gotten involved in the race until the ads from Arkansas conservatives came out. Let me just take a while to find this. Here it is. Here's the stupid text right here that was done by Chris Caldwell. Brian Norris empowering the radical left to destroy our Constitution and erase our freedoms. Brian Norris isn't even registered as a Democrat. He's never done anything to support the left that we can think of. He actually served in the Army for several years in erasing our freedoms. It's just a stupid ad. It was stupid all the way around. Well, after the March 3rd primary, Kathy Harden Harrison had to drop out because she did not get. There were three candidates for the race. Brian Norris actually got the most votes, followed by Kim Hammer. Neither of them got 50%, so it turns into a runoff, which is where we are now. The early voting for the runoff has started now, and the runoff election will be March 31st. Should be at regular polling locations. Kathy Harrison had said that she would file a lawsuit against this guy. I don't see any of that happening yet. But anyway, so far this group has spent a total, it's raised $415,000, and it's from a group called New Generation. Now, New Generation was a 501c nonprofit, filed with the Secretary of State's office. Kevin Crass, Shane Henry, and Jonelle Caldwell, which I think is Chris Caldwell's mom. And if not, someone can inform me of that. I'm not sure about any allegations regarding Varnell. I know that's another runoff race. But here's the section from New Generation. Yeah, Princess Culia, if you can talk a little bit about Varnell and what he did. He's one of the, I believe, state candidate races that's going on. And so far, the turnout in this is very low. There's only a few people that have come out. Most people don't know that there's a primary, a runoff election. There usually isn't that high turnout in the primary. Now, Arkansas Democrat Gazette talks a little bit about this group and how they spent their money. Most of their money apparently was done by some medium buying group in Columbia, Ohio. And sadly, that's how a lot of our politics work, is a bunch of money is dumped in by special interests. It's handled by consultant types like Chris Caldwell, and then it goes in the media buys. And oftentimes this works in terms of influencing the elections. Republican Patriots of Arkansas has only spent $128,000, yet it seems that actually so far it has been in the lead. Brian Norris, like I said before, got the most votes during the primary election. It talks about Lori Justice, John Bailey, and then the group American Voter Integrity Initiative. This is a group fighting for hand marked, hand counted paper ballots, which Donald Trump has indicated is something he wants to do to get away from the voting machines, which we know have been used to steal elections here and around the world. And again, a lot of their media, they've been spending their money with an organization here and then some other group in Mariana, Florida. So a lot of the texts and the phone calls uh, were put forth by this group. This group also supported a lot of candidates. It endorsed 13 candidates for state and federal offices, most of them actually winning. Ron Caldwell won, Brian King. There was another race too regarding Blake Johnson versus another guy. His name I can't remember. And they were actually Republican Patriots of Arkansas actually defeated Blake Johnson, and a lot of state representative races were also won by Republican Patriots of Arkansas. Overall, they won despite being heavily outspent. And it seems that the people seem to want someone that appears as what we call less establishment, someone that isn't part of the mainstream political group front. And so I'll just go real quick into the details of the finances of this group. Again, this is Chris Caldwell is a leftist Democrat who pretends to be a conservative. He used this organization set up with the sole purpose of slandering people that are far better than him, and that's all he seems to be capable of doing. And he's starting to be seen as a failure for doing so. Again, this organization was designed to defeat Brian Norris in the primary election. It failed. There was another organization he created to support a Pulaski County judicial candidate, and it failed. But here's his telephone ad. So if you see text from this guy, Remington Research Group out of Kansas City, Missouri, that's where you get those texts. And then you can go into details here. I urge people to go to the Arkansas Secretary of State and the Arkansas Ethics Commission, find out about these groups. Okay, and here's an update on Curtis Varnell. He was fired from UA Fort Smith for having sexual relationship with a student while married to another woman, impregnated that student, lying about having a PhD and having his mistress teach his class while he took time off, and he's lying about his past by claiming he resigned, but public documents like the one above tell the truth. Wow, that's pretty serious. Varnell is running in a primary runoff, and I think I have the details of it in my description here. But let me just talk a little bit about this, and then I'll talk about those other races, including the one Varnell's running to. So, also in the Democrat Gazette, it said that both Secretary of State candidates in GOP runoff are facing ethics investigation. And unfortunately, again, you have to be a subscriber to look at some of the details of this or to get the paper to see what the allegations are. So, since they don't bother to mention that, and a lot of people are, especially Democrats who hate Republicans, are just saying, oh, they're all corrupt. Well, here are the details of the actual investigations. Hammer, a state senator from he's of course state senator from Benton, is investigated for accusation that a campaign commercial he filmed at the state capitol violated state law because it used his office. The commercial was filmed inside the Capitol, and it has shots of Hammer sitting in his Senate office and of the Arkansas State Steel, a potential violation of state law. It prohibits public servants from use of any office, room, or furnish at public expense to distribute any letters, circulars, or other campaign materials unless such office or room is regularly used by members of the public. for such purposes without regard to the political affiliation. So you can't use your office as a place to film an ad, or to use it to, like, say, print out flyers, or to use the taxpayer funded resources that are exclusively to you to help bolster your campaign. And it's no dispute that the Capitol was used. It's there in a commercial. I actually don't have it up, but you could. This was filed by Rick McKay, who is a member of the Pulaski County Republican Committee and a supporter of Norris, as it says in the paper. Now, the complaints against Norris were filed by former state rep Mark Berry. It said that first there was a paid for by disclaimer that was missing from an advertisement that appeared at the Faulkner County Republican Committee Freedom Fest. So there was apparently some flyers put out there that didn't have the paid for thing. It was Norris said it was inadvertently left off by his designer. Another accusation failed to disclose baked goods his campaign sold at non-monetary contributions. That basically they would give out, I guess, cookies or whatever these baked goods were, and you could suggest a donation. And it was Norris said his campaign was from his daughter to have available at speaking engagements. He said he listed the expenditures on his report. And then the third accusation is in regards to his travel. He listed reports directed payments to fuel and electricity vendors rather than reporting miles. Norris apparently drives a Tesla, and so the mileage expenditure system is apparently not able to read that accurately. I posted these comments and these complaints in the text in the description of this video, so you can read over those. If you're a subscriber to the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, you can read more about these details. If not, you kind of just have to go by what's being said. The main issue is in these articles, oftentimes, like I said, the people, especially the left, are just trashing both candidates and accusing them both of being corrupt. And that's not accurate. It's not like they're both crooks. It's not like they both are deliberately trying to, they're not like stuffing money in pies like what Martha Schaffner did. She was the former Democrat, I believe, treasurer, or having state troopers deliver cocaine and hookers like what Bill Clinton did years ago. It's nothing like that. And again, the Democrat Party of Arkansas, which is run by leftists who hate this country, they really are trying to erode and destroy the Constitution. They're just using this as kind of a way to bash both candidates. So just kind of keep that context in mind when you see your paper and somebody talks about and says, "Oh, these guys are both crooks." Well, no, it's both under investigation, and neither of them are doing anything that's really egregious, like what appears to be happening with this Varnell guy. And let me go to that. So the statewide race is between Brian Norris and Kim Hammer for Secretary of State. Again, it's for the Republican primary. So if you're not registered as a Republican, if you're registered as Republican or independent, you can vote in this race. Even if you didn't vote, if for some reason you forgot and you missed the primary election, you can still vote in this race as long as you're not registered as a Democrat. If you voted Democrat in the primary, you cannot vote in this race. And then here are some runoff elections. In House District 46, it is Tanya Fletcher versus Curtis Varnell. I don't exactly where those locations are, so someone can post later on in the chat where those locations are. House 52, Brent Montgomery and Christine Thompson. This is in Yale, Scott, and Sebastian counties. Let's see here. Mike Bishop and Jeff Pratt. It's in parts of Boone County. And these are Republican races, so I don't bother messing with the Democrats. With the Democrats, it's pretty much the same. I mean, they're both the same animal. Doesn't matter. And in House District 6, Hunter Rivette and Cody Rogers, Holiday Island. Okay, Logan County is apparently part of the place where Varnell would be. Well, folks, that's it. Just a real quick recap on some updates. What's going on? Remember, when the white righteous rule, the people rejoice. So we have at least a small say in that. Find a way to get involved. Find out what's going on. Well, if according to this, it should be House District 5. That's where Varnell and Tanya, what's her name? Let me go back here and see. Tanya Fletcher and Curtis Varnell. Now House District 46. House District 6 was somebody else. I don't know. According to this, it's a House District 46, and here I'll paste it into the chat. Tanya Fletcher versus Curtis Varnell. And of course, there's lots of races for county judge. I think there's some sheriff races going on. There's one in Saline County that's gotten a lot of attention for lawsuits. But that's what's going on, folks. So find a way to get involved. Anyway, I got to step off. You all have a wonderful day. Try to find a way to get involved. Pray for the people of Iran. Pray for this place.